2021 is another year of recovery, the year China forges on with its arduous battle against the pandemic. It's the year when life-saving vaccines become the norm, along with masks and COVID tests. Now, as the pandemic rages the world with new variants, China has responded quickly to control sporadic outbreaks across the country. But it knows it would be a grave mistake to relax vigilance against an enemy that continues to mutate into more insidious forms. On the Chinese mainland, nearly 3 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered up to now, and around 4 in 5 people have been fully vaccinated. China has extended more than 1.8 billion doses to over 120 countries and organizations, making it the biggest vaccine-providing country in the world. In November, President Xi Jinping has pledged that China will donate another 1 billion doses of vaccines to African countries. Pandemics are tragic events of world history that cannot be defeated without solidarity. And it seems like China is trying to set a good example for the world. CGTN's Wang Qiwei has more.
The year 2021 started in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. After moments of anxiety, despair and grief, China is on its way to recovery. Factory resumed operation. Schools reopened and shopping malls were once again bustling with people. Over time, we've learned to mask up and adapt. The phrases health code and nucleic acid test have become part of our daily vocabulary. The pandemic has changed the way we live, work, and travel. We hoped the pandemic would be a passing phase, but it wasn't, as new cases came in from beyond China's borders, and outbreaks happened sporadically across the country.
The whole area is under lockdown.
The epidemic has spread into 4 cities.
Outside one of Shijiazhuang quarantine hotels.
This is the second time there's been a COVID-19 outbreak in Ruili.
Whenever there's an outbreak, there's community-based quarantine, mass testing, and medical workers work day and night combating the virus. We have also witnessed the determination of some unsung heroes as the whole country stood together to face these challenges. Efforts have paid off. China has stepped up its vaccination program among both the young and the elderly. The country has also lived up to its promise on producing vaccines for countries in need.
疫苗是战胜疫情的利器。我多次强调，要把疫苗作为全球公共产品。
As scientists race to study the genetic makeup of COVID-19, the virus is mutating over time. And during the winter season, the Delta and Omicron variants are spreading fast around the world.
The pandemic will end when the world chooses to end it.
As we prepare to usher in the new year, there are hopeful signs for a better future. China's dynamic zero-case policy, approval granted for the country's first drug against COVID-19, accelerated vaccinations around the country and across the globe, preparations for the Beijing Winter Olympics in full swing for next February. China will continue to face the evolving enemy bravely until the war against the COVID-19 is finally won. Wang Qiwei, CGTN.
All right, and now let's get some more analysis. I'm pleased to be joined by Professor Chen Xi, Associate Professor of Health Policy and Economics at the Yale School of Public Health. He's also President of the China Health Policy and Management Society. Professor, great to have you with us on our special program. So we know that countries around the world have been adopting different strategies to fight COVID-19, but China has always been committed to this zero COVID policy. Help us understand the necessity here.
Yeah, China has maintained a zero COVID policy against the coronavirus spread, rolling out mass testing, frequent contact tracing, and long quarantine and strict border controls while increasing vaccination rate. This is given the high transmissibility of COVID and its variants like Delta, like Omicron. It is very important to maintain in the next few months at least about this strategy to establish herd immunity with a high vaccination rate. And it's also built on some other concerns. For example, the data, global data still suggests that this virus, the case fatality rate is still high above flu rate. So that means it kills more people than the flu season. So that's worrisome, although it's declining. And the second, given the overcrowded health sector, especially in the winter, and understaffed nursing practitioners, it's very important to maintain the treatment capacity of the hospitals. And also, China is also approaching the Winter Olympics, major events. All these concerns together make China to have this decision to be more prudent to maintain the dynamic zero COVID policy and increasing the vaccination rate and develop treatment before open up.
Well, there have been different measures to try to contain the pandemic. You mentioned mass testing and contact tracing. And we know that in 2021, China granted approval for the country's first anti-COVID drug. How does it help fight against the pandemic? How does it complement the use of vaccines in contain the spread of the pandemic?
Yeah, this is China's first approved neutralizing antibody cocktail. And the treatment involves a combination of two antibodies doses administered through injections and can be used to treat certain cases that are at a higher risk of progressing into severity. So it's very important for those high-risk patients once they are infected. So the therapy shows 80% of reduction in hospitalization and deaths in a global phase 3 trials. It's implemented in the trials in multiple countries. So, and they have very consistent message saying that this is safe and effective. And an additional treatment option for China is a treatment like this, which is effective for people already being infected. But I would say this may not replace the key role of vaccination, because vaccination is for people to prevent being infected. This is very important.
Well, people can pin their hopes on not only the vaccinations, but also this antiviral drug. Thank you so much, Professor, for sharing with us your perspective on this.